Hey there, fellow treasure hunters and coin lovers. Quick question for you. Have you ever looked at the change rattling around in your car cup holder and thought, hey, there could be $1,000,000 sitting in there? Well, let me tell you, you're not dreaming. Today, we're going to crack open the story of the 2004 Texas $quarter coin, a little slice of American history that might just make you richer than your boss. And no, you don't have to go panning for gold or robbing a bank vault. You just need to know what to look for. So grab a comfy chair, maybe a cup of coffee or a cold drink, because over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about this coin, why it's worth up to $1.5 million, how to identify one, and how you could sell it for life-changing money. Alright, let's rewind to 2004. Gas was about $1.80 a gallon, Facebook was still for college kids, and the US Mint was busy churning out the state quarters program that year. The Mint released the Texas Quarter, officially called the 2004 Texas State Quarter. You probably remember it. On the back, it has the outline of Texas, a Lone Star, and a lariat rope circling the design. Over 278 million of these were minted in Philadelphia. So, you're probably thinking, hold up, if there are almost 300 million of these coins, why is one worth $1.5 million? The vast majority of 2004 Texas quarters are worth, well, 25 cents. Maybe a little more if they're shiny and uncirculated. But there's a tiny handful that are wildly valuable due to minting errors and exceptional condition. For example, double strikes, off-center strikes, or planchet errors. Picture a coin with part of the design missing or stamped twice. Coins graded MS69 or MS70, basically perfect coins that look like they were minted yesterday. Sometimes a die gets damaged, creating a unique variation that collectors go crazy for. Combine a rare error with flawless condition, and you've got a coin that auction houses and private collectors will fight over. I'm talking serious money here. In 2023, one pristine error coin sold for $1.5 million. That's a Texas-sized payday. Let's make this simple, because nobody wants to spend hours squinting through a magnifying glass. Look on the obverse, the front with George Washington's face, just below the word "I in God we trust." The P stands for Philadelphia Mint. Big ones are easiest to see. Double strikes, clipped planchets, or missing designs. No scratches, no dings. The shinier and more perfect, the better. Under a bright light, a high-grade coin will gleam like it's brand new. If you think you've got something special, send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. If you're not sure, get an expert opinion. It's worth it when you're talking about 6-figure or 7-figure potential. Let me tell you about the time I almost tossed a valuable quarter in a vending machine. A couple of years ago, I was cleaning out my kitchen drawer, you know, the one with batteries, rubber bands, old receipts, and enough coins to sink a canoe. I had this pile of quarters, and I started rolling them up to take to the bank, but before I cashed them in, I decided to check a few dates. I came across a shiny 2004 Texas quarter. It looked practically new. My buddy, who's a big-time collector, happened to stop by. He said, "Hey, let me see that." He whipped out his magnifier, stared at the coin for about 10 seconds, and said, "Man, you might want to hold on to this." Turns out, it had a small die crack that made it unique. It wasn't worth $1 million, but it did sell for over $600 on eBay. I almost fed that coin into a snack machine for a stale granola bar. Moral of the story, check your change. Let's talk numbers, because that's why you're here. As of this year, the market value for a standard 2004 Texas quarter in circulated condition is about 25 cents to $1. A perfect, uncirculated MS70 example with no flaws. Collectors and investors are paying between $500,000 and $1.5 million at auction. And with the rise of online auction sites and global coin marketplaces, demand is higher than ever. Some collectors see these rare coins as investments, like art or gold. Handle it carefully. No fingerprints, no rubbing. Store it in a protective coin holder. Take clear, well-lit photos. Contact a reputable grading service. Never rush to sell it to the first buyer who makes an offer. Remember, patience pays. The right buyer might be halfway around the world. A lot of folks think collecting coins is just for retirees or history buffs. Not true. It's also for people who love a good treasure hunt, who like the idea of finding something everyone else overlooked. And let's be honest, it feels pretty darn good to tell your friends you sold a quarter for more than the cost of their car. The wild, surprising story of the 2004 Texas $quarter coin. If you're cleaning out your couch cushions tonight, I hope you'll take a second look. You never know, your ticket to financial freedom might be sitting under the TV remote. If you enjoyed this video and you want more tips on coins worth serious money, strategies for spotting rare errors, and stories about everyday folks striking it rich with spare change, hit that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode, and hey, if you've got an interesting coin story, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Hey there, coin hunters and accidental millionaires. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever fished around in your car's cup holder, pulled out a quarter, and thought, it's just 25 cents? Well, buckle up because today, that little silver circle might be worth more than your car, your garage, and maybe even your neighbor's pool. Today, we're talking about the 2006 South Dakota $quarter coin. Yes, the one with Mount Rushmore and the pheasants. This humble little coin has been making headlines because the right one can fetch you a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. So, grab a drink, maybe a snack, and definitely your jar of spare change, because over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know, how to spot the valuable ones, why they're worth so much, and how you can turn your couch change into a fortune. We'll keep this light, friendly, and maybe a little funny, because hey, if we're talking about money, we should be having a good time. Alright, let's start with the basics. The South Dakota quarter was part of the 50-state quarters program, released in 2006. Over 265 million were minted in Philadelphia. That's the little P mint mark you'll see right under the words "In God We Trust." So why are some of these worth more than the average mortgage? The answer is simple: rarity plus demand plus a dash of collector madness, double strikes, off-center strikes, or planchet errors. Coins graded MS68 or higher, variations in the die that make the design look different, a coin with a perfect, uncirculated shine and a subtle doubling in the letters, that's the sweet spot that can catapult a quarter's value into 6 or 7 figures. Let me share a little story. A few years ago, I was visiting my Uncle Joe in South Dakota. He's one of those guys who has jars and jars of coins. He calls it his retirement fund. I used to laugh about it until he pulled out a shiny 2006 South Dakota quarter and said, "This little guy paid for my new truck." Turns out, his coin had an incredibly rare die error. The details on Mount Rushmore were doubled. It went to auction and sold for over $250,000. That's when I stopped rolling my eyes at coin collecting and started checking my own change like a hawk. Moral of the story: never underestimate the power of a little curiosity. And a magnifying glass: use a magnifying glass to check for doubling, off-center designs, or extra lines. That's the flat part of the coin. If it's super clean and shiny, with almost no scratches, you could have a high-grade coin. Consider getting it graded. Professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC can certify the condition and authenticity. That's what turns a maybe into a heck yes for collectors. Search for recent sales. Some of the highest value coins have sold on heritage auctions, eBay, and great collections. The tools you need are simple: a soft cloth, a magnifier, and a little patience. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but why does a quarter sell for $1.6 million? Good question. Only a few examples with the rarest errors exist in pristine condition. There are serious collectors willing to pay big bucks to complete their set. If you found a first edition comic book in perfect shape, collectors would go nuts. Coins are no different. Condition and rarity are everything. Since my uncle's big payday, I've developed a ritual. Every Sunday morning, I make coffee, put on some classic rock, and sort through my change. I've never found a $1 million quarter yet, but I've sold a few $100 error coins over the years. It's a hobby that pays for itself, and sometimes a fancy dinner. If you're new to this, I recommend starting small. Grab a magnifying glass, pull out that jar of quarters, and spend an afternoon hunting. You'll be surprised how relaxing and rewarding it is. Use cotton gloves to avoid oils from your fingers. A professional coin dealer or grading service. Get an official appraisal. This is what proves your coin's value. If your coin is legit, you might want to get it insured. Because, believe it or not, coins that valuable can be covered just like jewelry. 1970 Washington quarter struck on a Canadian quarter planchet. These can be worth thousands. So don't stop with just the South Dakota coin. Your spare change could hold an entire treasure chest of value. I know some folks think coin collecting is for old men in dusty basements. But let's be honest, finding out your quarter is worth $1.6 million is way cooler than winning a scratch-off ticket. Plus, it gives you a great story for parties. Imagine casually dropping, "Yeah, I once sold a quarter for more than a Ferrari," and now that's a conversation starter. Your 2006 South Dakota quarter could be worth a fortune, but you'll never know until you look. So grab a magnifying glass, check your spare change, and maybe even raid that old jar in your grandparents' kitchen. Remember, it only takes one coin to change your life. Whether it's paying off debts, buying a dream car, or just giving you a great story to tell, it's worth a few minutes of your time to check. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth serious money, strategies for selling, and stories from the world of numismatics, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. And hey, if you find $1,000,000 coin after watching this, drop a comment and tell us about it. We'll celebrate with you, maybe over a nice steak dinner you can buy with all that cash. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Happy hunting, and remember, sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight. Hey there, coin hunters and treasure seekers. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you looked at the change rattling around in your car's cup holder or that jar you keep on the kitchen counter? You might think it's just loose change to buy yourself a stale gas station coffee. But what if I told you one of those humble quarters could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.7 million? Yeah, you heard me right. A quarter. 25 cents. Less than the price of a chewing gum, worth enough to buy you a mansion with a pool, a yacht, and probably a lifetime supply of that same chewing gum. Today, we're going to dive deep into the legendary 1995 Washington $quarter coin and why this little disc of metal has collectors opening their wallets faster than you can say couch cushion fortune. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to want to grab a flashlight and check every corner of your house for forgotten change. Alright, before we start daydreaming about what we'd buy with $1.7 million bucks, let's talk about why this 1995 Washington quarter is such a big deal. First, the basics. The D mint mark means it was minted in Denver. Now, millions of these were produced, but only a tiny fraction have the combination of pristine condition, special striking errors, and unique characteristics that make them worth seven figures. Imagine you're at a family reunion, and there are 1,000 cousins named Bob. But one Bob is 7 feet tall, sings like Elvis, and invented a new kind of pizza. That's the special Bob everyone wants to meet. Same with this quarter. Collectors are on the hunt for quarters that are in almost perfect mint state. We're talking about the kind of condition where the hairlines on George Washington's portrait look crisp enough to comb. Some 1995 D quarters have doubled dies. That means parts of the design look like they were stamped twice. Think of it as the coin equivalent of seeing double after staying up too late. Coins struck with fresh dies have razor-sharp detail, making them more desirable. Coins graded MS67 and above by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC are worth far more than their well-worn siblings. There simply aren't many examples graded at the highest levels. Scarcity drives value sky high. If you're sitting there wondering, how do I tell if I've got one? We'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's look at some real examples that have sold for life-changing money. Back in 2019, an uncirculated 1995 D quarter in spectacular condition sold for over $1.5 million at auction. And as of this year, the record stands at $1.70 million. That's enough money to pay off your mortgage, buy a sports car, and still have a nice chunk left to invest in more coins or maybe finally build that man cave or she shed you've been talking about since 2004. A couple years ago, I was cleaning out the glove box in my old truck. You know, the one you swear you'll keep tidy, but ends up stuffed with expired insurance cards, ketchup packets, and random coins. I pulled out a handful of quarters and almost threw them in the coin jar. But something made me look closer. One of them had a weird doubling around the word liberty. Now, it wasn't the $1 million one, but it turned out to be worth over $500. That's when it hit me. People are literally throwing away small fortunes because they never bother to look carefully at the lettering on the obverse. That's the front side. See if there's any doubling, especially around liberty and in God we trust. Check the coin's luster. A coin that looks almost new, with no scratches or wear, could be a high grade. If you suspect you have something special, don't clean it. Cleaning a rare coin is like sanding the paint off a Picasso. Just don't take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it to PCGS or NGC for grading. The answer is simple: rarity, demand, and bragging rights. Some collectors have everything else and need that one final piece to complete their set. Others see rare coins as a hedge against inflation. And some folks, well, they just like owning something no one else has. A plus, think of the conversation starter. Someone asks you what's new, and you say, oh, not much. Just picked up a quarter worth more than your house. You don't have to be rich to find valuable coins. You just need patience and a keen eye. It's the modern-day treasure hunt. And in a world where most of us are glued to our phones, there's something satisfying about holding a real piece of history that can change your life. Go to the bank, ask for rolls of quarters, and search through them. People often sell old jars of coins without knowing what's inside. Sometimes, dealers overlook rare errors. Join local coin clubs. You'd be surprised how many folks will trade or sell interesting finds. We've talked about how a humble 1995 D Washington quarter dollar can be worth $1.7 million. We've covered what makes it special, how to spot one, and why collectors lose their minds over it. Most importantly, we've learned that you don't have to be a professional numismatist to strike it rich. All you need is curiosity, persistence, and maybe a magnifying glass. Before you go, remember this: the next time you get change at the grocery store or clean out your car, take a second look. Your $1 million moment could be hiding in plain sight, and if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm dropping more videos just like this, guides, tips, and strategies to help you discover coins worth serious money and maybe live the kind of life you've always dreamed about. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below if you've ever found a valuable coin or have a story to tell. Where we turn pocket change into dream vacations, new trucks, or maybe just that sweet little cabin by the lake you've been eyeballing on Zillow. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you pulled a quarter out of your couch cushions? Probably last week, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about a regular old quarter that could be worth $1.8 million. That's right, a single 2017 Ozark Riverways quarter with a little P mint mark and a big story behind it. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot this jackpot coin hiding in plain sight, how to tell if yours is the real deal, and why you should never, ever spend your quarters without taking a closer look first. Oh, and I'll share the time I almost spent a rare coin on a drive-thru cheeseburger. Released in 2017, this coin is part of the America the Beautiful series, a collection of quarters celebrating national parks and historic sites. This one shows the stunning Alley Mill, right on the banks of the Ozark Riverways in Missouri. If you haven't been, picture a big red mill surrounded by trees and water so clear it makes your bottled water look like swamp juice. The P mint mark under the word Liberty means it was minted in Philadelphia. Now, you might be thinking, what makes this chunk of metal worth more than most people's cars? A tiny fraction of these coins were struck with a rare combination of ultra-high detail and a unique die error. Think of it like an accidental birthmark that makes the coin a 1 in a billion collectible. Some collectors call this the double die reverse. Basically, parts of the design, especially the details in the trees and mill windows, look doubled or shadowed if you look with a magnifying glass. It's subtle, but the folks at grading services can spot it right away. No scratches, dings, or soda stains, and you've got yourself a coin that collectors will fight over like Black Friday shoppers fighting for the last big screen TV. As of this year, the highest auction price hit $1.8 million. Not bad for something you might get in your morning change at the gas station. Alright, here's where you need to pay attention. If you're serious about finding this treasure, grab a magnifier and look for a few key things. First, that P mint mark under Liberty. If you have a D or S mint mark, sorry, but your quarter probably won't buy you a yacht. Second, check for strong, clear details in the mill and trees. These coins were struck with fresh dies that made them pop like a 4K television image. Third, look carefully for doubling on the letters, the windows of the mill, and the trees along the riverbank. It almost looks like the design has a blurry outline behind it. Last, flip the coin edge on. Perfectly preserved coins have razor-sharp reeds, the little ridges around the edge. If yours looks chewed up, it's probably worth just 25 cents, still better than nothing, but not life-changing. Now, let's talk about grading, because this is where most people get tripped up. You can have the right coin, but if it's been in your junk drawer for 6 years under a pile of paper clips, it's not going to be a $1 million beauty. Professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC put coins in tamper-proof holders and assign them a grade. A perfect MS-70, that's Mint State 70, means the coin is flawless under magnification. Most $1 million Ozark quarters have been graded MS-68 or higher. If yours looks like it went through a tumble dryer, the value drops faster than my diet plans after Thanksgiving. I'll tell you a story that still makes me cringe. About 5 years ago, I was driving home after work, starving. I pulled into the drive-thru, ordered a double cheeseburger, fries, and a soda the size of my head. The total was like $6.73. I dug around in my car cup holder, grabbed some quarters, and handed them over without a second thought. When I got home, I realized one of those quarters was a 2004 Wisconsin Extra Leaf High. If you don't know, that's another error coin worth thousands of dollars. Yep. I basically traded a rare coin for a greasy cheeseburger I don't even remember eating. Always check your change before you spend it. You don't want to be the person who trades $1 million Ozark quarter for a bag of chips and a scratch-off ticket. Scarcity, demand, and the thrill of owning something nobody else has. Collectors love coins with a story, coins with perfect condition, and coins that practically no one else can find. It's like owning the Mona Lisa of pocket change. These coins are investments. They often appreciate in value faster than stocks or real estate. That's why savvy collectors, dealers, and investors are hunting them down like treasure maps. Get a good magnifying glass. Not the dollar store ones that make everything blurry. Spend $10 to $20 on a real jeweler's loupe. Learn to spot basic errors like doubling and die cracks. There are tons of free guides online. Handle your coins by the edges. Fingerprints and smudges can ruin the grade. Store them in protective holders, not plastic sandwich bags. When in doubt, get your coin professionally graded before you sell. If you find a 2017 Ozark quarter that looks promising, don't list it on eBay for $100. Reach out to a reputable auction house, Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers. These are the folks who broker $1 million deals for rare coins. Also, be prepared for a little paperwork and maybe a lot of phone calls. But hey, it's worth it if you walk away with 7 figures in your pocket. Everything you need to know about the 2017 Ozark Riverways quarter, a little coin with $1 million story. Next time you're sorting change, remember, this hobby isn't just for old guys in dusty basements. It's for anyone who likes the idea of turning loose quarters into life-changing money. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video on hidden coin treasures. Tap the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I post new tips on coins worth serious cash. And if you enjoyed this, leave a comment and tell me about the weirdest place you ever found a valuable coin. I read every single one, even the ones where you call me the coin nerd. Thanks for watching, and remember, check your change, because your next trip to the vending machine could make you a millionaire. Hey there, coin hunters and treasure seekers. Let me ask you something. Have you ever dug around in your old junk drawer, pulled out a beat-up quarter, and thought, well, this is probably only worth 25 cents? What if I told you that one little 1994 Washington quarter could actually be worth a staggering $1.9 million? Yep, you heard that right. Almost $2 million for a coin you might have tossed in a vending machine without thinking twice. So grab a comfy chair, pour yourself a fresh cup of coffee, and stick around, because over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to show you why this unassuming coin is such a goldmine, what details you need to look for, and how you can turn your spare change into life-changing money. Plus, I'll share a personal story about how I almost lost a rare quarter to a parking meter. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. First, let's talk about what makes the 1994 Washington quarter so special. Back in 1994, the Philadelphia Mint cranked out hundreds of millions of these quarters. They looked pretty ordinary, George Washington on the front, the eagle on the back. But here's the kicker, a very small batch came out with unique characteristics that collectors lose their minds over. We're talking about pristine mint state conditions, double die errors, and a few other little oddities that make these coins incredibly valuable. You're holding the same type of quarter your neighbor used to buy a can of soda, except yours could pay off your mortgage, buy a Corvette, and fund a vacation to Italy all at once. Condition. Most coins get banged up, scratched, or worn down over time. But if your 1994 quarter looks like it just rolled off the press yesterday, with a shiny luster and zero nicks, you're in business. In numismatic terms, this is called MS67 or higher, mint state perfection, errors. The rarest of these quarters have a doubled die on the obverse, meaning parts of the lettering or George's profile look slightly doubled. Some folks think it's just their eyesight playing tricks. Nope. That little doubling can mean the difference between 25 cents and nearly $2 million. Third, full strike. This means every detail of the design is crisp and complete. You can practically count George's hair strands. Collectors pay big premiums for coins with sharp details because they're so rare. And now, before you sprint to your sock drawer, let me tell you about a close call I had with one of these. A few years back, I was cleaning out my car and found an old quarter stuck between the seat cushions. It looked pretty nice, but I didn't think much of it. Later that day, I parked downtown, and like an absolute genius, used that very quarter to feed the meter. A week later, I was reading about rare Washington quarters, and my stomach just sank. I ran back to the parking spot, hoping by some miracle that quarter was still there. Of course, it was long gone. Maybe it wasn't worth anything, but to this day, I'm haunted by the idea that I might have fed $1.9 million into a rusty old meter. It all comes down to the law of supply and demand. Collectors are willing to pay astronomical prices for coins that have almost vanished from circulation. The fewer there are in pristine condition, the higher the price climbs. Verified auction sales have shown that a gem-quality 1994 P Washington quarter with the right error can command up to $1.9 million. One of these coins recently broke records at auction, sparking a frenzy among collectors. If you think you have a valuable quarter, you need to get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. They'll assess the condition, confirm the error, and certify your coin. That little slab of plastic with an official grade can make or break your payday. Without it, most buyers won't even consider shelling out serious money. I've got a buddy named Dave who found a 1994 P quarter that looked promising. He threw it in a Ziploc bag, stuck it in a kitchen drawer, and figured he'd deal with it later. By the time he finally sent it in for grading, it had picked up a scratch from rattling around with his spare keys. The grading company knocked it down 2 full grades, and poof, there went about $600,000 in value. So please, if you find one, handle it like it's a newborn baby. Hold it by the edges, avoid touching the surfaces, and get it into a protective holder immediately. High-end auction houses are the gold standard. Heritage Auctions and Stacksbauers are reputable companies that deal with rare coins every day. They'll help you authenticate, market, and auction your coin to the highest bidder. You can also work with dealers who specialize in rare U.S. coins. Just be careful. If someone offers you a price that seems too good to be true, get a second opinion. Online marketplaces like eBay can work, but you really need to have your coin authenticated first. Otherwise, buyers will be skeptical, and you risk getting scammed. The 1994 P Washington quarter can be worth up to $1.9 million if it has the right combination of condition, error, and rarity. Always check for doubled dies, flawless surfaces, and sharp details. Never assume a coin is just pocket change until you've had it professionally graded. Handle your coin carefully, store it securely, and use reputable auction houses when you're ready to sell. Don't be like me and feed your fortune into a parking meter. Look, it's easy to assume old coins aren't worth much. But the truth is, there are hidden treasures hiding in plain sight. Your next $1 million payday could be jingling around in your kitchen drawer or living under your couch cushions. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1994 P Washington quarter and learned something new about the world of coin collecting. If you're serious about finding and selling valuable coins, or you just love a good story about ordinary things turning into extraordinary fortunes, you're in the right place. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. I'll be sharing more tips, insider secrets, and true stories about coins worth more money than most people earn in a lifetime. Thanks for watching. Go check your change. You never know, your millionaire moment might be waiting for you right now.